Hi, my name is Stephanie Carroll and I write historical women's fiction. I've written a novel called A White Room about a woman who goes crazy at the turn of the century. Today I thought I would talk about something a friend asked me recently. She asked me about my writing and asked, when you write, do you use a lot of stuff from your own life? And my answer was simply, yeah, all the time. On my drive home, though, I had kind of wished that I had elaborated on that a little bit, because there is some, concerns people have sometimes about using your own life to write, because there comes issues of, taking real stuff that happened and turning it into fiction and portraying people in a bad light, and then they can sue you and all kinds of stuff. And then at the same time, writers are constantly told, write what you know, write your experiences. So I wanted to clarify a little bit more about what a writer means when they say, yes, I use my life experiences, for me at least. The experiences that we have in life are more than actual fact incidents that have occurred. There are feelings, looks, gestures, phrases, little details that make people who they are, or that create an atmosphere or a feeling in your just day-to-day life experiences that you can recreate in a scene. Now, that scene that you create might be completely 100% different than the incident that you're stealing or taking or borrowing or whatever something from. Especially for me, all my stuff is historical fiction, so obviously I'm not writing about things that actually happened to me, but so much of my stuff is inspired by, I guess that's probably the better word to say. I don't use my life, I am inspired by my life. I use things all the time that, they inspire things in my work. A nasty look somebody gave me, I might recreate that look in a scene. But in no way would anybody ever read that scene and be like, oh, I know what she's talking about. I remember this time when I was hanging out with her and this girl gave her this look. Like, it's not something that's so significant that somebody would be able to recognize it and be like, oh yeah, I know what that's from. It's something that, it's a personal experience. And this is the same thing as you are the sum of your memories in a way. How could I know and recreate certain feelings and expressions and movements if I hadn't experienced them for myself? Sometimes you can, though. Obviously, writers write stuff all the time that they have not experienced. I've never experienced going insane and having hallucinations, but I have experienced things that I was able to use and inspire the hallucinations that I created. So it's kind of a line there of, yes, I use my personal experiences, but no, I'm not recreating actual events that happen. People do that through memoirs. How they get around the legalities, I'm not really sure, but I don't write memoirs. Obviously there's a way, because people do that all the time. Memoirs are extremely popular and successful genre. Anyways, I want to talk a little bit about how some of my fiction lately, especially, has really been inspired by experiences in my life. Specifically with my third book. I've written a blog about it once already, and I wrote a vlog too, talking about my research. It's going to involve 1920s spiritualism, where they did the seances and the crystal balls and took pictures of ectoplasm and stuff like that. It's going to involve those components, but I started recently writing. I got inspired to write a scene, I didn't know what it was going to go to, of a girl having similar experiences that I have with musculoskeletal problems, specifically scoliosis. One day it occurred to me that, people have had these, and I'm sure this occurs to lots of people have had issues, similar pain and medical issues that we have today back in the past. But, they didn't have medicine or modern science and things to help them through it. And so you wonder, well, how did they do it? Well, if you look into it, historically, there were hundreds of thousands of people who were termed invalids. They were people who were medically ill or had major problems like musculoskeletal problems that forced them to basically live their life in beds. They didn't work, they didn't have babies or get married or do anything that everybody else was doing. They were sick. Your best reference, if you're not a big researcher into history stuff, would be Little Women. Beth was an invalid. She was sick. She didn't get to have a life. So I decided to write a scene about a girl having these problems and what that would be like historically. And I've decided to weave it into my third novel. And so that's just an example of how something from my life might inspire actual fiction stuff. This scene, and what will eventually be a whole story kind of based around this person, this character, it's explaining the stuff that I take from my life. It's talking about the actual physical pain and what it feels like and the fear and confusion that comes with something like this happening to you and you don't know what it is exactly. For me, the whole scoliosis thing is actually injury-induced. I didn't know that could happen either, but apparently injuries can induce scoliosis. So in the novel, it's going to be a girl, something happens to her and she gets injury-induced scoliosis, and basically her body's sort of contorting and slowly over time, and she doesn't know why, and it's painful, and doctors don't know why, and so they bring in medicine women and mystical type people because they don't know who else to turn to, things like that. It's interesting. I've only written one scene though, so I'm not exactly 100% sure where it's going to go, but it's a good example of how I use my life to get into fiction. So that is all I had planned for the vlog. I hope it was of some interest. Feel free to post comments or questions, send me emails, whatever. And if you have found this randomly on YouTube, you can learn more about me and my fiction and work at www.stephaniecarroll.net, which is also where I have my blog and my vlog. And you can also find me on various social media sites, at Carroll Books, which is on Twitter, Facebook, Goodreads, StumbleUpon, Pinterest, Tumblr, and many more. Just look for me. And I try to post new vlogs every weekend, and I try to post new blogs about midweek around Wednesdays. So I hope you look for me. Thanks!